Awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Another night here, Ready Set Data. I hope you all doing good.
Hello, hello.
Woo-hoo. All
Welcome
right, so
to my new office.
yeah, O'Grady's got new digs. Yeah,
And adjust a little bit so we can see more.
it was loud.
What was loud?
I heard
Something.
like a yes.
Yeah, I
Is that
think that.
sound clip?
Yeah, baby.
Oh, that's what that was.
You do remember these, right?
I do remember.
Yeah, we
The
had
first
like
time I
a
know-
no shit button, a no
No,
button.
no,
Yeah.
no, yeah. You'd walk into Lee's office and he'd be like, "No."
No.
Yep.
N-O.
Well,
Okay.
since we're supposed to be doing introductions anyway, Lee Markham is the DBA, and clearly by the button, you now know DBA stands for Don't Bother Asking.
Okay, wow.
Or for tonight, we can say Database Administrator. We also have O'Grady, our software engineer,
Hello.
with the new digs of the cat condo in the back.
New digs.
Very nice.
Yes.
Raise my chair a little so I can actually.
Lee's buttons are excited to be here. Lee's always pushing those buttons.
That is so loud.
It's so loud. Back
Is
it
it?
away.
You need to like put it on your book behind you and hit it.
No.
Sorry,
And
go
I'm,
ahead.
And I'm Anthony Fortner, data engineer. I know I'm excited to be here. It's been a long day. A lot of good stuff happened today, though. So, it's a good day. But I feel like it's 9:30. The sun doesn't agree. I'm tired. I must have changed some time zones. How you guys doing? You guys have good days?
Yeah, it was a No, I didn't have a good day. I don't know why I said that.
Oh,
It was a good first part of the
Reflex.
day.
I feel sorry.
Oh, we had some doctor's appointments with the now that it's public with our new little boy on the way. So that was a great first part of the day. Was it the 15 weeks? So we just did like the heartbeat stuff, and it's cool. It's always cool to be able to hear a heartbeat that you created.
Yeah.
Second half of the day, my VPN decided that it just wants to hold for about 5 minutes at a time
Oh.
and then drop and then come back for about 5 minutes. And I put in some trouble tickets and stuff, and they re-downloaded every driver for my computer,
Oh,
like everything. And I'm just like, I'm sitting here not getting any work done, obviously.
no. Which is stressful.
Yeah. So they did all that. They're like, let us know how it goes. I'm like, cool. Start working. About 10 minutes in, it starts dropping again. Like, I hate this so much. So I ended up factory resetting my complete mesh network at my house in case there's some kind of stale data or something. Because since moving from upstairs to down here, I thought maybe there was some old IP stuck in one of the other mesh routers and it's competing with each other. I don't know. Didn't seem to work either, so I'm gonna have to reinstall my VPN stuff. It's a whole thing, so it's been a day, but
Sounds like it.
tomorrow's Friday, so How about you guys?
Tomorrow's Friday. That's true for us too. Well, I shouldn't speak for Lee. It's true for me also. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm stoked to get to the end of the week.
Tomorrow's Friday for everyone.
You
It's
think so?
Thursday.
Is that how it works?
It's Thursday, so tomorrow's Friday.
Sure. Okay.
Anthony seems to be having a day as well,
Apparently.
Oh.
but
I don't know what I put in my sody, but my sody's good today.
that's all that matters.
It's 5:00 somewhere, unless you want to let me know that it's 5:00 everywhere.
I mean, it depends if you buy into the multiverse theory of everything that happens continues to happen and split off as a branch, because then at one point somewhere it would be 5:00 all the time.
There's also time zones.
Yeah,
It is 5 o'clock somewhere in the world right now. 5 p.m. tomorrow.
technically it's 5:11 somewhere, but
So
Okay. Yes, that's true. I guess.
That's why I always
Not to
laugh
get-
for that
not
saying.
to
I'm
get
like,
stu-
nah, it's not really 5 o'clock somewhere.
Just to get super technical, if we have a listener in India right now, it's Friday. So tomorrow is Saturday for them. Just saying.
That's true.
It's also 5 o'clock for them because it's 5:40 in the morning.
So this is really
So-
quick derailment, like 4 minutes in.
Well-
That's
Well, we were joking before the stream. Like, we were derailed before the stream.
Yeah, we
Like,
hadn't even started, and
We're getting ready to go, and then we're already making left turns. So, yeah, every day's Friday when you're capped on PTO. Guns.
fair.
All right. So, so holler at chat. We appreciate you guys coming. Duns is already yelling at us in the chat. We love it. Keep talking, guys. So, yeah. So, Lee, how about you? Well, Grady shared his day. What you been dealing with today?
I've had lots of meetings and lots of people hitting me up on Teams for random, hey, I need this kind of stuff, which, that happens. That's probably the experience for everybody in IT working with Teams at some point, or Zoom, or maybe not Zoom, but Slack. People hit you up randomly for things. So, but yeah, I got it worked out, got some stuff done, of course, and ready, like we've talked about. I'm ready for the weekend, ready for tomorrow at 5 o'clock Central to arrive, so I can go do something besides work.
He's actually gonna leave work to go work, but
Did I say that? Did I say
no,
something
but
weird?
it's just in your
Oh,
yourself of who you are. You were leaving work,
Okay.
and then I'm sure you're gonna go do some sort of work.
well, I mean, I do have presentations I need to work on and finish, but that's not for my day job.
Yeah, not for your job.
That's fair. Yeah, that's
There
for
is-
your
there is-
career progression.
Yes.
Yeah. There is a-
Speaking
there
of
is a
career
difference.
progression,
Ooh.
that
Oh,
was my
wait, you want to reel it in? Let's
that,
reel it
that,
in.
that was my
Speaking
that
of-
was my transition. Was that? Didn't that work?
Speaking of career progression, that's actually been a topic the last couple streams, right? So we led off with Lee talking about how he ended up in IT, and then we had O'Grady last week talking about his progression in IT. So we're thinking Dunce is sharing a bot in our Discord. People, please join Discord too. Talk to us from all the directions. Make it a game. See if you can derail us.
At the 5 o'clock somewhere. Yes, that's
It's a bot.
actually it's pretty cool. It just tells you where it's 5 o'clock at all times.
We'll play Dunce.
That's pretty
Well played.
cool.
I'm following them.
Yeah. So I've always enjoyed developing, programming, writing code, whatever you want to call it. I got started really early on. One second, is this live? Am I muted? Yeah, I'm muted. I hear talking. I wasn't sure where it's coming from.
Like you
so
are
yeah.
Anthony, and okay, just make sure you.
I am Anthony. So I started developing on. So I had a little Sinclair, but I didn't really know what I was doing yet. I remember this Apple IIe, the II with the eyes, Apple II numeral Z, with the floppies. That's when I first started programming and actually like getting anything done. I don't know how old I was, 12 maybe. I would beg my dad to after work and get off of work and take me up to the library and I could book some programming. And most of the time those little games, a little simple stuff that if you copy the code into the computer, all bazillion lines of it, we make little games and stuff. So hunting down wumpuses. Anybody hunt a wumpus before? You hunt wumpuses or whatever else. But yeah, definitely was into that really early on. Then we all had graphing calculators probably in high school. So middle school-ish, I ended up with a graphing calculator. And then I found out you could program on those. And then, forget Game Boy, I was making my own portable games. So I made all kinds of games, all kinds of homework helpers. Because it wasn't just games. Like, yeah, that was awesome. I loved doing that. But sometimes
yeah.
Well,
Homework helpers? What's that? Is that a person you pay to do your stuff so you can play your games that you built?
oh, no. That sounds a lot like a friend. I'm not sure how many of those I have back there.
That's just what we do
JK.
now. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. So all graphic hackers already help with problems like math, but then sometimes like in math class there'll be like extra credit where they'll give you something to solve, um, and you solve it the way you're supposed to. I don't remember the exact problems, but there was something where like, you have to change pennies, nickels, and dimes. I remember one particular quarters, and what combination of those made the certain dollar amount.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I, I remember that one in particular because I wrote a program so I had an answer, I legitimately had an answer. Um, but I wrote a program on my graphic calculator to try every possible combination, even though I had an answer. And I found three more answers to the problem. So when I turned it in, I said, I found four answers. First one, I could show my work, the other three, I can't. And then the teacher's like, one, how'd you get four answers? And why can't you show the work on the other ones? I go, well, the first one I did the way that you taught us, but then I was just super curious and I wrote a program to brute force it. And I found four solutions. He goes, well, they're right. You just can't solve it the way you did.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And so I showed my work in the first one because I wasn't actually trying to cheat. It was just a curiosity. And I don't know about you guys, but like a curiosity was like, I think the biggest driver to messing with technology, right? So
Yep.
Yeah,
there,
for sure.
That's
there,
100%.
yeah. So like it's kind of like it checks the box for curiosity, that urge to figure things out. When you figure it out, you get that dopamine hit. It also checks the box of like tinkering. It's not like Grady, you laid into this, last time. Like at first, a lot of taking things apart and figuring out how they worked, putting them back together. I did the first half of that. I took things apart and figured out how they worked. Getting them back together wasn't always great. Half the time, by the time I got taken apart, I ended up breaking stuff. I learned pretty quickly that you take apart Rubik's Cube, it don't go together quite right. It gets easier to break after that.
Yes, I have
Anyway.
a broken one. It's upstairs still. Yep. Still not the best at putting those back together.
So yeah, I love that little Apple device. Played Oregon Trail, played a few other games. Then I started making my own games, and of course, I got my friends in the neighborhood in on it, and we made up things, and we got it going. So yeah, I was hooked from the get go. I didn't actually end up in when I crossed over. I went to actually skipping over high school. So in high school, I only took one programming class in high school, and it was what was it? It was a type of basic. I'm afraid I think it was Apple Basic.
QBasic?
I don't think it was QBasic. I did QBasic at home, which I didn't think about until you said that. Thank you. But I think it was called Apple Basic because it was like that. Now I know I already talked about having the Apple IIe, but this was like called a Macintosh, just the old black and white Mac,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
wire mouse and everything. And so we had a whole classroom full of those. We wrote the dinosaurs into school, and we were working on those. But like it was literally just zoomed in. We
Trying to
literally
get my camera right while you're talking.
yeah, it was basic. I'll try not to get distracted by that. So it was and it was pretty simple basic, and I've already done more than one basic language. Like by the time I don't know if this was freshman or sophomore year, but I was doing that. I already did, Apple Basic. I did QBasic. I did whatever I don't even know what you call it, the graphic calculator. So I was trying a whole bunch of different things already. So it's basically more of the same. We had a PE teacher teaching the class, so I ended up teaching half the kids little things. I ended up teaching the teachers some things, which was really cool. It was good for me because I was a major introvert and shy, and all that other jazz. So it was kind of cool in that class. So like people were talking to me and getting help from me, and even the teacher was like needing help sometimes when checking over something. Because again, PE teacher wasn't like a bad teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty good. Sorry,
So I have a question for you.
bring it.
So you mentioned you only took one programming class, and that was like the QBasic or whatever, or some kind of basic. Was
Yeah.
that because that's the only programming class that was available, or that's just kind of how it worked out for you?
That's just kind of how it worked out for me.
Okay.
I don't remember the opportunity to take another program class, but I'm going to say there probably was because I remember talking to somebody, in lunchroom and they were taking some sort of C class, but it might have been everything. I don't know.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, that was the only one that I ran into. I'm old. I don't know. Like
I mean,
when you guys were in high school, was there programming classes?
No,
No. Okay.
I
we had
had
QBasic.
Right. Yeah, I had some basic class that I took in high school. This is like late 80s, not the 70s. And I'm pretty sure that was it. That's the only option I even had. So that's why I was curious, because technology has boomed a lot more now, and there's more access to that stuff. Like my son, all of my kids had access to all kinds of classes for IT that I was jealous of. I was like, man, that would be fantastic if I had access to that. That would be amazing. So that's why I was curious.
Oh yeah. No, I don't think there was other options. I think the people I talked to, might have been like dual enrolled. 'Cause that wasn't uncommon. So,
We
yeah,
had
I think I would have signed up for more if I could have. What's up?
we did have the typing classes. So like we did typing keyboard classes.
Yeah,
Beyond that, it was
That-
it was literally was basic.
that
development.
existed too. Yeah, I remember that. Anyway, so that was high school. So yeah, definitely was into I was driving and I was doing all the normal shenanigans, as teenagers did. But I also was able to go to the library without asking. So I Bible programming classes, got into like trying to figure out how to do graphics. Hi. So A Chin just joined us at hi.
Back in
Happy to
Liam, I
see
forgot
you.
what we did we discuss what we were supposed to what your shorthand name would be there? I don't remember if we did. A whole week ago is a long time.
Yeah, I'm not sure to go. I'm not sure if they would prefer a Chen, or Liam. So maybe they'll let us know.
We'll see.
Yeah. So gotta respect people's personas online, right?
Yeah.
So that was basically high school, right? Did all the normal high school classes. I took one programming class, but honestly, most of the programming, I guess what I'm trying to get to is most of the programming and that kind of work I did was on my own. It's just taking care of my own curiosity, scratching the itch to tinker, try my hand at some different types of C, whether C or C++. I had no idea C# existed. It might not have. I don't know. I don't know when that was
At that
invented.
point,
so,
probably didn't. I don't know.
Yeah. So
C# was even on the development world. We didn't start really getting into it until 2006, 2007.
Yeah, I think it was a rebuttal to Java, right? Java came out first, and then they needed something similar, whatever similar means.
Similar-ish.
Similar. Well, it's like they have to have something that takes care of the same needs, right? Like,
Yeah, they needed a competitor.
Thank you with words
There you go,
and stuff. That's awesome. Cool. So yeah. So in other words, at that point, it was a hobby, right? It was kind of a passion I had, but I didn't really think about it like work. So I became an adult, as boring as that is. Started a family. Had a couple different jobs. None of them were in IT at first, right? Ended up with a career at UPS. Was there for many years. But during that time, any IT tangent work I did was on my own. Either I was making my own games. I may or may not have games on Congregate and Newgrounds that exist that I made years ago. May or may not.
Nice.
All little cheesy things. Like I did it for fun. It was It was cool. I got enjoyment out of solving problems. Like if you don't at least get some enjoyment, you may not enjoy the problem part, but like when you figure it out and you finally solve that problem you're trying to solve, and you get to the side and the program or the server or the database or whatever fits your skills or your job or your passion, whatever it is. When that finally works and it's running and you get that like that high almost, you get those endorphins.
Mhm.
If that isn't worth it, then I say IT isn't really for you. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. So, oh yeah, so and I would the usual story. I'd make web pages for people. Someone like, oh yeah, you code. Then I make web pages for a couple bucks. A boring site here, an e-commerce site there. That's actually how I got introduced to SQL because most of those, I think basically everything was like, could throw out a third one. This a third option, but I feel like most of the options out there, especially back then, might still be true now. Is it's going to either have PHP or it's going to have some sort of SQL or probably both, right? Like
Mhm.
MySQL or anything like that. WordPress is PHP, I believe. Is it still PHP?
Yeah,
Um,
and MySQL.
Joomla, yeah, and MySQL.
Very cool.
MySQL. What was that? Is that what you said? Listen. Um,
Elitist.
yes. Joomla, all those other ones. Like for a while there, it was pretty much PHP with some sort of SQL backend. Probably MySQL, right? Because free. Yeah, so that's what I was doing MySQL. And I actually remember the first couple of times where like I had to go into those and figure out how they functioned and how they're doing database calls, and then I had to learn this whole SQL thing, right?
Yeah.
Because at the time it was like I was coding, and I wonder if it's like this now that I'm talking about. I wonder if it's like this for other developers who are like way into their language of choice or their tier, right? Like the front end dev, they have to do some SQL. The mid tier
Yeah.
devs who want to do a lot of Java or C# or 1,000 other different things, Rust, Go, whatever. And then when they get to see, they're like, oh, not see. When they get into the SQL, they're like, oh, gotta do that SQL thing, and it's kind of like it's just to get the job done. And so that was back then. I guess it was like that for me. I haven't thought about that in a while. I was kind of like, I had to figure out the SQL thing.
Yeah.
But eventually, I got lost in the docs as one does, and like I remember learning about all the different ways, different types of databases that particular engine had. When I was researching it, like all kinds of weird things. Like I remember one being called a black hole. I'm not expert on what that is, but like you're right. So you operate the database as if it's a database, but no data actually changes. It just gets logged, and you ship those logs off elsewhere. So it's wicked fast. Now, again, this is a long time ago, right? So storage was probably a big problem for a lot of people. I don't know. I never had a use case for that, but I was reading about all these options. I'm like, there's so many different options even back then. With when it came to databases. So, fast forward a little while. Instead of just making games and making random web pages, I found an opportunity to end up actually doing real IT, working for a company in my 95.
Real. You get paid to do it.
Yeah, it
on the
feels more
regular.
real. Yeah, it feels more real when you're getting a paycheck, right? So at
Yeah.
the time, I guess before I jump into that, well, I've touched a lot of industries. I've been a courier. I've
We
worked
call
for
HR?
UPS. I've been a courier. I've been in logistics. I've been a cook in more than one place. I've definitely done fast food. Trying to blank at all the other ones. I used a pretty good
Dishwasher?
list. I was a dishwasher, actually. Yes, jokes aside, I was. See here. Oh man, I
just
should have
mentioned that
made a
because
list.
it's common.
Yeah. I was a dishwasher. I was a
Mhm.
manager over the dietary, which is like the kitchen. For a while, I was the manager of the weekend shift at a hospital dietary area. So like the cooks and the people who made food and who
Okay.
delivered food.
Yeah.
Because I was already working there and then they needed coverage the weekend, so they made a position. So that was a fun experience. So I expected to be able to make up a longer list, but I was on the spot. I didn't write it down. So, I did a lot of
How
things.
dare you?
I know, right? I'm trying to wing it. I'm trying to get good at that.
We are always
Um,
so prepared.
Completely.
No, Lee's always prepared.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I'm good about filling in the blanks. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I felt like I did a lot of different work over the time, but I always enjoyed what we now call IT. Right at the time, it was just like I didn't think of it that way. It was fun to do. I made little games. My kids are getting older and they enjoy the fact that Dad can make games and we can play them and
Yeah.
other people playing them. And
I will say that the new paradigm shift that's occurred in IT and just in general of like IT's the cooler people now to have as dads. I've learned that now that technology is a lot more prevalent in younger people, like children. It's a lot cooler to be like, my dad's a programmer or my dad's in IT. Like,
I hope so.
well, when we were younger, it's like my dad's a computer nerd. Like that's what you would be associated with. Nowadays, it's more associated with a lot more positive things. So I think that's
Yeah.
that's good.
Right. That's definitely a more
So-
positive thing.
Yeah.
And
What's
you're
up?
probably going to touch on this, but how did you go from all of those myriad of things that you did to that first job where you got paid to do the things that you were just doing for fun? How did that happen?
So I had two drivers. One, I wanted to go into IT. I decided I wanted to make money at this. Before that, I had a little bit of a handicap. We talked about imposter syndrome, where everybody tended to say you have to go to college with a degree. No one's going to hire you to do dev work unless you've done real dev work.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, I thought, yeah, I'm making games and stuff, but I couldn't talk about design patterns. I had no idea that I used some of them, but they have names. They had names, right? I learned design patterns to realize I've used that before. So that was kind of a handicap for me. But then stuff happened. There was actually a major car accident, and it got rearranged some wiring in my brain, and I got better. But then after that, like you get that feeling life is short. See how I
Yeah.
skip over that whole period of time really best there. But you realize life's short, and I decided I didn't want to always work night shift. I decided I didn't want to work as many hours as I did. So
did
I
you
thought I'm
have
going to.
did you have kids at this point when you're
Yes.
making these transitions? Like, because I know you have a pretty large family. I didn't know how far along were you
Most
at
of my
this time?
kids, were around this point. So they were, even the oldest ones are still a bit on the younger side, but only my handful of oldest kids remember the time where Dad didn't seem to leave for work because I worked at night. Right, I laid them down. I got my 3 hours of sleep. I went to work, and then I came home, and if I had to work during the day, I remember my oldest actually was telling a story about he wanted to talk to me. He made sure he was up early because he knew if he didn't talk to me when I walked in, took my shower, and left to go to my day job, he wouldn't get to see me until I got off. So
Yeah.
so most of them don't really remember that very well, but they were around. They're little, right? So that's also part of why I transitioned. Right, I wanted a little bit more of a day job, a little more control over my hours, because the way I did it with multiple jobs, you don't have a lot of control anymore, right? Even if you have vacation one job, you might have vacation the other. So I ended up working for a major bank. And once I got in the door, I just figured out how to make people's life easier with technology, even though my first entry level position there wasn't directly in IT. So pretty quickly I found out I learned some skills about networking and talking to people that I didn't have before. As a typical labor person, that doesn't happen. You don't go, hey, I can make this easier for you. But once you're in that office setting, you can, and then you can become a lead, and then people in other departments, the technology departments, talk to you, and then you can find your way in. So so because I was talking to people and I was like, hey, I can make your life easier with X and Y, and I can kind of prove it, I ended up getting hired onto one of the operations teams. Now, when I say operations, it was effectively a data slash BI, but they didn't call it that team, right? A lot of what this team did was there's a whole team of analysts, um, and there was thousands of people in this wing of the company, this country, this wing of the company, and so it was a lot of paying attention to what's going on, whether it was underwriting or default or all the other departments. There was a lot of that going on, a lot of different people wanting access to data, and they were just completely underwater.
Yeah.
And I basically got hired on to be one of the analysts. Um, and I'm going to go ahead and this is uncomfortable, but I'm going to do some humble bragging here, right? Well, not even humble. I'm just like this interview. I'm going to do some bragging because I think it's important for
Fine with
anyone
me.
listening
Mhm.
because imposter syndrome is hard, and I felt like, and I didn't realize all of this right away, but more often than not, when I got hired on, I thought to myself, if I get this, I'm gonna be around all these other smart people, and they're gonna teach me so much, and I'm gonna become better, and I'm gonna become worthwhile for this job, and I'll show them. And I joined this team, and most of the positive changes were enacted by me. Again, yes, I'm bragging, it's a little comfortable, but I want people to hear that because
Yeah.
you're gonna tell yourself that, and then you're gonna join, and then you're gonna realize I'm bringing stuff to the table, right? There's still stuff to learn.
Yeah.
I learned stuff. I learned a lot. But I think we sometimes sell ourselves short. And that was the first move into me realizing that, like, honestly, I've been holding myself back. No one's been holding me back. I joined. The team was great. Like I actually miss those people a lot. The manager that hired me on, I remember, in the official interview, telling him like I'm nervous. So I was really nervous about talking and being in meetings and everything else. I said, I will bring more technical skills to your team. You just have to help me with meeting people and talking to people and going to meetings and all
Which-
that.
That's
And
fair to
he was
be if
receptive.
you're honest about it, and that's a very normal. I feel like a normal trait in IT. We've talked about it
Yeah.
before. For the most part, IT is kind of introverted. I think being
Yeah,
honest
100%.
about needing to work on your soft skills, I don't think there's any problem with that. It's them noticing or recognizing the same things you are, saying soft skills are important, but it's you making the step saying, I know I need to work on that. You help me, I'll help you bring some more technical things to the team. So I think it's good to get it out there.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I'm gonna go with Chen. And if he wants to correct me, if they want to correct me or let me know what to go with, I'm just gonna pick something. So I was fine. He said, like me, 100%. Some of us come to the table with a lot of skills, but we have other ones that we feel hold us back. So hopefully you're one interested in working on that, and two, you got some people around you that will help you. So yeah, to talk to whoever it is, coworkers, managers, and get that. And that's what I did. I put myself out there, and my boss, put me through some uncomfortable stuff. Right, it was part of my growth. One of the favorite stories was it's like, hey, yeah, well, we're gonna go meet with one of the directors at a bank. And at the time, that sounded terrifying. It kind of still does, right? But like that was kind of terrifying for me. And he goes, yeah, we'll go talk to him. I go, cool. What are you gonna talk about? He goes, oh, I'm not talking about anything. We're gonna go and you're gonna talk about some stuff. And I'm like, I'm already like getting warm, right? So like, but he coached me, got me talking. I still don't think I'm 100% as far as like knowing what to say to people, anything like that. But if he didn't put me in some of those uncomfortable conversations, I don't think I'd be able to deal with half of what I deal with now, right? So yeah, Chen, if you're feeling uncomfortable, talk to people around you, right? Slowly get yourself used to it. Work on your weaknesses, lean on your strengths. Well, anyway, so that's what I did.
Yeah,
So
that's a very
I might went on a tangent there. Sorry, it just
no, it's fine. I was gonna say it's a very common. I forgot who said it, but the growth comes from discomfort. you know, we've talked about it before on here, that if you're comfortable with your job, you're most likely going to get bored. If you're the type of person that really wants to be in IT and you get really comfortable at doing your job in IT, you're probably going to get bored and end up doing something else. But if you have these discomforts, these situations that make you have to grow, I feel like that's a lot of our the challenge of that is what keeps us where we are, or you know, keeps us in this industry.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And you gotta keep growing. You gotta keep putting yourselves in comfortable positions.
Mhm.
Like the quote I said earlier, you lean on your strengths, but you still have to deal with what makes you uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
So I joined that team. That went a little tangent there. That felt was important. So I joined this team, and there was quite a bit of people there. But the thing they're struggling with is they were hiring these really smart people, and they were doing. It was. I'm sure you guys in positions like this where like they came in and they had 3, 4, 5 tasks. Like the day was doing the same things over and over again, and a lot of Excel work, a lot of everything else. Like what I think of as old school BI. There's their analyst team. So it was really hard for them to scale. It was really hard for them to grow.
Yeah.
If they wanted to do 5 more tasks, they'd have to hire somebody else, right? Or divvy out amongst a bunch of people, and that just made everyone's job harder. They couldn't deal with surprises. So what I ended up doing was just automating. Like they weren't really doing any development. They were just doing the analytics. BI. Yes, automation. So I remember the first thing I automated. So my part of my responsibilities when I joined the team was to take on how do I do this without going a long tangent. A lot of work had to be done. It had to be divvied out to a bunch of people, right? They had a bunch of reports that all ran, got compiled, and then got divvy out to people with certain rules, right? I guess that's my easiest way to say it. That was supposed to be 50% of my job. So if I worked 40 hours, that was 20 hours. That was the first half of every day was doing that task. That was given to me because they had hopes that I could make it faster, optimize it, so on and so forth. I did a lot more than that. So my boss gave me a lot of leeway as long as I get my stuff done. He didn't really bother with what I was doing. And I was doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing, making it better. So at the 3-month mark, I remember because I was working for 3 months. I was getting my stuff done, and then like, hey, I want to show you what I've done with this report. It was a process. I shouldn't call it a report because again, it was 20 hours of one of their analysts' time, right? It's think about how much people think about full-time employees and work and whatever. So it's an expensive process. I sat them down. I said, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kick it off. So I started the program. And then I stepped through all the different things, what I found out about all the steps. And then and then I'm like, okay, awesome. So that's how it breaks down. He goes, well, how long, he's like, I've noticed you haven't got done a lot sooner. Why is that? I go, oh, because, and then I said, because I've been doing the job the way you taught me. And I've streamlined this to the point, oh, hey, look, it's done. And 15 minutes later, it was done. And I said, I've streamlined to the point that in this field, it's done. And I've been, for the last month, comparing, finding little gotchas. And now it's done this amount of time. And what's one better, I believe in a week or two, this can be done automatically when we come into work. So now when everyone shows up, this work's divvied out. And this will take a lot more time. Because one of the problems was, before me, it would be halfway through the day, this work would be divvied out, and everyone couldn't start into work until it was divvied out. Right. Anything running late, anything going behind, so things stopped. So everybody got other work done, and then this work got divvied out. So now, when you came in, it was just there. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yes. And so, and I give this advice to a lot of other people. If your company doesn't have automation, if it's not a big thing, if you can get the buy-in, the leeway to automate a few things, a lot of times like, that tastes good. And then next thing you know, we were automating everything. We got to the point where we found every single thing we could automate. We automated it. If we couldn't completely automate it because it was like human decisions, we streamlined all the extra junk around it. So the human only had to do what they needed to do. And we went gangbusters. Ended up being the way I did my thing, ended up being attached to 2 other teams. And then we had a workflow where instead of building out a process and assigning it to a person, we had a analyst who worked with whomever in the company to build up the process. And when they knew it, they taught another I won't say data engineer, but that's not what it's called, a data analyst, and they would build automation to match. And they do what I did with 2 people and check and check and check. And after some amount of time, the BA stopped doing it and the automation took over. And the end user never knew. The report was just always there. And once we automated it, we had it happen early in the hours, much to the DBA's dismay at the time. And then I'll break that down for you, Lee, I promise. A bunch of the DBA's dismay, it was all done in the early hours. So everyone just suddenly, if they got worked with the 3 teams that I was working with, all the stuff was just done in the mornings when they came in most of the time. Only time we had to do it later was if it needed human interaction. And it got automated, and so they could just keep sending work to us. They keep sending work to us. So, the company went through some restructuring, and I remember one time we lost a whole building. I can't remember what state it was. They shut down the building, but then so all those operational reports had to be taught, and then we just did the same thing. They got handed off to other teams, and then they got sent to us. They held on to a little while, and then we added to automation, and then just went away. That was fine. It was great. Lee, the reason why.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, have we done a show on automation yet?
No, we have not.
As a topic, no.
Yeah, that needs to happen.
Until I can.
Throw that in the ideas bucket.
Yes, let's do it. So the reason why the DBAs, the DBAs are talking early in the morning is, at that point in time, when we started having all this automation happening, there was so the workload would normally happen during the day. All these reports would happen, and they'd happen spread out. So in the mornings, my automation would kick off, and so one job will start, a little bit of delay. Originally, I had starting like 3:00 in the morning. Something to kick off, a little bit of delay. Something else to kick off, a little bit of delay. Something else to kick off, a little bit of delay. And then all these things start firing off and getting done. And when something was done, it gets flagged as the next thing can go, and so on and so forth, right? And like dependencies and all that. So I remembered sometimes I'd come in and my stuff would be turned off, and I'd have to send out emails to everybody. Sorry, everything's late. I don't know why. Well, it turns out that the DBAs who worked in a different time zone, India, we made some jokes about different time zones. And it's 5:00. It's 5 a.m. there right now. They were in another area, so they were awake at that time, taking care of the data landscape, and they see that one user is using like 80% of all the CPUs, and they assume something's wrong.
Yeah, they're just like, you're cut it off.
That's abnormal. Like this time of night,
Yep.
this is O'Fallon, Missouri, so basically St. Louis. Nobody outside of Missouri knows the difference. They're like, our St. Louis location is using 80% of what's going on. This has to be some kind of mistake, and they turn it off. So I started waking up and doing my morning routine, logged into my work, because I had the ability to. I couldn't work from home necessarily, but I had the ability for like emergencies to work from home. So I logged in early, be on there while I was getting ready and doing all the breakfast and all the other things, going to my shift. So because they're turning something off, they ping you, and so I would get a ping and like, hey, I see you're online. This process is using up a lot, and I'm like, all right, I had a way to say, okay, the next process won't kick off for another hour. I pushed it back to make sure. Just give me a couple more minutes, and then that process will fall off, and that'll be fine. At the time, I wasn't a DBA. I had no idea what they're talking about. I just knew I needed to be friends with them, and I needed to, at the time, I didn't know these words. I use these words now. Be a good steward, right? Like, so they would ping me instead of just killing my process at that point. They probably wondered why. Like, oh, the cat, hi. They
The
probably
whole
wonder why
train.
they
It gets on
this.
my freaking desk.
It's a cat. That's what they do.
It's okay.
You buy
It
them
can do what it
something,
wants.
they have the box. They're in charge. But yeah, so they ping me, and then I'd be able to say okay, and then I tell my process to hold off because I was probably now I know I was probably blown up, right. Show cat. That's our
Ran away.
mascot. So and then I'd be able to push stuff off, and then they would stop killing my processes, and I'd stop having to tell people, sorry, everything's gonna be late today. So that
This-
happened.
This sounds like queries that need performance tuning.
Yes, didn't know that was really a thing yet, right?
Yeah,
Um,
right. Sure.
So at some point in there, it was interesting. So eventually it got to the point where like we were doing hard work that took, there's things that took 3 hours, 4 hours, right? And then I learned that, so we interacted with SQL Server and Oracle, but we did not have SSMS. We were not allowed to directly connect to the database. Imagine that. But I learned that we could do pass-through queries through Access. So that started to be how I did a lot of my work. So that's what forced me to learn T-SQL. Did not even know it's called T-SQL when I started learning it, right? Just like the SQL used in SQL Server is different than the SQL you use in Access, is different than SQL used in Oracle, right? So I had to do
SQL used in AS400.
Yeah, DB2, 100%. So I was like, I was learning that. That's just I forgot about that. I'm remembering this now. It's kind of cool. Like, I day and night do T-SQL. And I remember being like, oh, if we write it this way, we can make things faster. And so I started to accidentally, but first, falling into performance tuning and realizing how much I loved it.
Yeah.
I figured out like, yay. And then, I was probably at the time doing things that, reduced blocking. And I was probably doing things that, were using indexes that didn't even know existed. How could I? Right? At the time,
Right.
I feel
there's
like
a
accidental
dictionary.
learning is like the best type of learning because you discover it yourself instead of being told it, and I feel like that sticks so much more.
It absolutely does.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of these skills are not technical skills. Like, I was kind of a little bit joking earlier, maybe, but I made making friends with the DBA. It's not just buying them donuts so they kill your queries less. It was just like, because of that experience,
You're
I
literally
learned.
bing them off with donuts?
No. Now it's 100% a joke. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I don't know, to ship them to India. So
that makes sense. Okay. Carry on.
and that part's not a joke. They were 100%. The team in India was a team in India, right?
Yeah.
That's just where the team that I dealt with worked. So multinational company. Yay. There's benefits and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So no, but it's like, I now know, before I was ever even remotely a DBA, because we're still talking about operations lead manager thing, whatever I was at this point, because I kind of didn't mention it, but there was a promotion there, right? I was heading up the teams, and I was like, through where I am dealing with this team of DBAs who there's no org chart connection to me and them at all, but I was using their infrastructure, right? And their point of view was to take care of their fiefdom, and I don't mean that negatively, their jurisdiction, that's a better word, their jurisdiction. And I had to learn to, like, if I'm a good citizen with them, it's better for everyone downstream of me who wants work done. And that's still to the day how I think, even though I transitioned, skipped from stuff at one point, like, and I was the person that had a jurisdiction. And so I feel like that helps me talk to people, explain things today. Like, I feel like there's a bit of us versus them sometimes in IT. If something's wrong, blame the database or blame networking or whatever. And like, we're all the same team. We're all trying to take care of the end user. And we'd be better off if we work together instead of pointing and making blame, right? So
I think people forget that in IT sometimes, that there's no it doesn't make sense, especially because you're not fighting for the same promotions I'm fighting for. So it's like, if anything, you would want to team up with people that aren't your exact level. Like, hey, I'll go over to database and be like, there's nothing you can't take
Yeah.
my job. You're not trying to screw me over at all. Like,
Right.
building good relations is just like, I don't know, just common sense to me. Like, it just, I wish it was common. I wish it was common sense, I guess, because it's
Yeah, I mean, it's kind
not
of
seen as much as it should be.
there's almost like a game theory angle of what you're saying there, right? Like, me and these people aren't competing for the
Yeah.
same jobs. So if we all band together and we all make each other look good by doing what's right, right? Like by
Yeah,
doing what's
yeah, the right
like,
way,
doing
and
what-
yeah,
yeah. If we all band together, we all make each other look better.
yeah. You make
and
IT as a
succeed.
department look better, which usually gets IT
100%.
as a department more funds to
Yeah.
give better
To do more
salaries, to do additional things. Even we worked at places that they're like, hey, IT's doing really well. Here's a $1 million makeover on what IT looks like as
Yeah.
like the physical form. If you
Yeah,
don't
people
show
get
better
yourself,
offices.
better
Yeah.
offices, or you get offices in general.
I make
Yeah.
sure to tell all the new people, going like, this is what it looked like 2 years ago. That's for sure. So yeah, I feel like, and hopefully you guys are good on time. I managed to ramble until 8. You guys good?
Yeah, I can go longer.
Cool. Okay. So we're gonna end up circling back to what some of what I just said. The whole. I feel like this was a big part of learning that different people, different skill sets, like when they team up and they work together, it's
Mhm.
better for everybody.
Oh yeah.
There's a good chance we're gonna circle back to that. So I was doing good at City, but there was a lot of changes, a lot of layoffs, and I loved the people. I would 100% work with all the people on the team I worked with if I got the chance again. But the culture of like the banking industry, and it seemed like people always getting laid off. A lot of the people I was working with was going to switch to another company because of different dealings. Oops. I said okay. I said something wrong. Anyway, so anyways, the company that I worked for, the bank. Yeah, there's a lot of layoffs.
Yeah.
So anyway,
And
I wanted to go more into. Oh, go on. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say we discussed that I think previously about it's not so much IT isn't really an industry as much as it's something that's in every industry. It's like we are our own industry as a whole, but we are in
Yeah.
every industry. So we've talked in the past of we have that option of saying I want to work for a company that does X or Y, and if if you have that option, like you were saying, the banking industry as a whole might not be the most stable, or at least at the time. I don't know at all. This is just rhetoric, but it's that industry might not be as stable as other industries, and we have that option as IT to say, well, I'm going to get out of the banking industry. I'm going to go to this type of industry that might be more stable. So is that like how you were feeling at that time?
Yeah, I think like I mentioned that because of what was going on in the world, there was a lot of layoffs and everything. I just didn't want to constantly think about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also another big driver for me was I wanted to be more of a development role. So I was heavy in like I said, operations, but it was heavily reporting, right? Very heavy in SQL, and like I was really excited about other technologies, and I wanted to be a developer on a development team. So I ended up, for many reasons, posting out, and I went to the next employer, the employer I'm at now, and got on there as a straight developer, right? Of course, I did a lot of random SQL work. But I got to do more. I worked with a team, the support team.
Mm-hmm. I'll say when you
And
got
then-
there, you weren't really doing any SQL work or very little until I guess I don't know if it was the skill set or if it was just the realization that you had the skill set when you started
Yeah, so-
getting more into that?
Yeah, like every once in a while, I like touch SQL, but I was much more interested in doing exactly what I was doing when I joined you, right?
Yeah.
Doing more what I thought was development work. So at the time, that was Java, and then all kinds of front ends. It was all
Angular
JavaScript, right? It was
JS.
jQuery, Angular JS. I was having a bad day. What was it?
Alphabet
It was at
soup.
least one. It was at least one knockout. Wasn't there? I don't know.
There's a lot of
But
knockout.
tons of front end tech. The
Yeah.
Java mid tier, and I liked it, but there was so that I was like that for a while. Like you said, at first I wasn't doing a whole lot of SQL. Occasionally I did something SQL-y, right?
Yeah.
But then we got new, and then that manager said that overall we didn't have a lot of SQL strengths. And then when one of my one-on-ones with him, I said, I did a lot of SQL, but I didn't know if I was shying away from SQL because, and this is a bias, but I got a very distinct feeling from my previous employer that SQL work isn't really development, right?
Yeah.
Developers over there in a different building and they do cool things. And if you're writing SQL, no, you're just an analyst. So no.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the feeling I got. And then that was one of the reasons why I shied away from it and ended up trying to be a quote unquote real developer, right? And it was eye opening. I probably shouldn't name drop, but you guys probably guess who the manager was, 'cause, you worked with me. I said that. I said, well, I got this impression from my last employer that SQL work isn't really like real dev work, and I wanted to, move my career forward. So I want to be seen as a real dev by managers and people like, if I leave this company,
Or just by the industry
He's
in
like-
general. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't know a lot about the IT industry at the time.
Yeah.
I just knew what made my bosses happy at my previous employer. And he's like, no, SQL developers are developers, and they're definitely needed. And so if you already have skills in this, I need somebody with those skills. So let's start talking about a plan for strengthening you. And so basically, my next step was I started to get some certifications that boosted my confidence. And I was willing to say, hey, we can do this. And it was hard at first because I felt like, again, remember that tangent I went on earlier when I said I joined the new team and I felt like, oh, all these people are going to teach me so much I don't have anything to bring. Felt that again, like, okay, so if I actually start being a SQL-y person, that's a good thing. And then certs really helped my confidence.
Yeah.
And I started helping out more, and the more I helped out, the better I got. And the better I got, the more confident I got. And the next thing I know, a lot of SQL work, the DBA at the time, definitely two vendors and Lee. Yes, I'm pointing to you, Lee. And then, so it turned out to be a good thing.
Mhm.
Like the irony of me leaving a SQL heavy job because I thought it wasn't a good path for me, getting
To get
more
into
of a real,
Mhm.
moving into a more real, like feeling IT dev shop where they're building apps for the company, and then being told, no, SQL's a skill, like we need that. And then that really, once I doubled down, I got my confidence. Honestly, that's what it is, right? Like, so we
Yeah.
talk about imposter syndrome. Once you got that confidence, you're like, this gives value, and I can make a difference to people. Then I start doubling down on it. So yeah. So then I got a handful of certs. I did a lot of working with Lee, but I'm just gonna keep this up. The DBA, I did a lot of work with the DBA. And then eventually this led to me joining up and becoming his junior DBA, right? And as some of the other developers said, oh, this makes a lot of sense. You were already, this is more of making official what you were doing. You were doing all of our SQL stuff, you're doing all of the DBA stuff. So I was effectively like a super junior dev DBA at the time. And so we're just making it real.
Yeah.
So instead of it being SQL work, like T-SQL, it started becoming more of, Lee was explaining to me priorities for DBA. I was learning how to do all of that work. Dev was still in my blood, and I still got pulled away for more developer-centric stuff. But there's two of us, so hopefully that worked out for the best.
I feel like that was the point when you went from like my knowledge of T-SQL to the actual database knowledge of knowing about the more inner workings of it. Because I feel like, yeah, T-SQL or SQL in general, writing it is one thing. Knowing, how to pull data through a query, that's one, like, the first step, I feel like.
Yeah,
And then
no,
you get
actually,
into, like, cleaning up the data a little bit. But you're still never looking at, like, failovers and availability groups and that kind of stuff until you get to the next level up, which I feel like that's kind of like where you moved into that position a lot more.
yeah. So to take a couple steps back, once that conversation happened where I realized that the development manager was really interested in me being better at SQL, I start talking to Lee. I'll stop doing the whole dry it down thing. I start talking to Lee and like, what's some things I can look at? What can I learn other than just the 12 commands you can do in SQL, right? Because that's how I felt at the time. Select, where, join, all that.
Yeah.
And then Lee just gave me a list of names. One of them was Bernozar, but yeah, a whole bunch of names. And I started watching this stuff on Pluralsight and on YouTube.
Yep.
And it was a whole different world because it's no longer just, select is where you get what's projected out of the data, from is where the table sources are. It was like how the engine thought, how it behaved, and that really resonated with me. So yeah, that was definitely, honestly, the big turning point. Thank you, Lee.
No problem.
So
That was my big turning point the other way, actually. I was like, what is this? And I like peeked my head in and I'm like, nah, you guys keep that.
No. You like it or you love it. I feel like I wonder if it's like with car gearheads, like car people, well, what they're like when they first start figuring out how the engine works, and they're like, they get all that in their head, they know how it works, they want to tweak it. I wonder if it's the same thing, because that's how it is with me. Like, I can make this thing run better, I can make it run faster.
Yeah.
And it just grew from there, right? So I already mentioned I became the DBA, and there's this whole thing where it's like we need someone to be more focused on dev, so it's dev DBA. And then, well, we want BI, so we didn't have a huge BI team or anything. We need BI to be more focused. I start feeling like whenever they want to show they're focusing on something, they'll talk about it. At least that's how I started to feel. And so BI became a focus. So like, well, now you're a data engineer. And that was awesome. So more understand different systems work, more availability to think outside the box. This is when I started really, even though we're at a dev shop, I started being able to say, hey, we should try to do things differently and get the opportunity to try it, show it, and prove that it works.
I feel like you probably are getting listened to more as well. Once you start getting that rapport that people know, like, oh, he knows what he's talking about. You're able to make more effective changes because you don't have to explain every detail of them.
Yeah.
You start getting that buy-in just because of who you are.
It's like step one is getting someone to say, okay, prove it. Like, maybe trust you, maybe half trust you, but they give you the opportunity to prove yourself. And then step two is following through, right? So I was given the opportunity to prove myself, and I guess I must have been successful more than not, and it grew from there. So now, I don't know if we directly talk about it now, we kind of hint at it. I have a team now, and I told you we'd circle back. The thing of what I've been doing is I'm trying to make you work with this team, you work with that team. Because it always seems like, I always feel like there's this pattern where you take a person and they jump around from project to project and they don't give 100% to any one of them.
Yeah.
And different teams complain, oh, we need to do SQL ourselves because the database people are always too busy. We need to do this, we need to do that. We just don't have that skill set, but they can't quite hire a person just for that. So now we have a data team and we can say, hey, BI team, here's your data engineer. Hey, app dev, here's your database developer or dev DBA or whatever. And we can provision those out. And, it's been successful because I feel like it's been a pain point. And then there's more of a synergy there, right? The BI team knows who they can rely on and get dev work done. They're not fighting with, oh, well, this is other priority over here that's more important, right? That person's focused. It's a thing we didn't have before, so it's been good. And again, I got that from back in the day where I found out that like if I was talking to the DBAs at City, even though that wasn't a thing then, we can get a mutual understanding, and I can know what I need to do to stay out of their way. And they would killing my stuff at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so it's the same thing now. Like, what do you need? And I can take care of you, right? Not me, person on my team. So
Oh yeah.
I think that's the
Do,
story arc.
do you feel like you've moved more towards a delegation role, or do you still feel like you're very heavily involved in all of the work that's being performed,
Um,
or both? I mean, yeah.
So the way you word it, I want to say both. I'm definitely having to learn to delegate. I was very much touching everything for a
Yeah.
while. And
That's how
that
everybody
was
got
hard.
COVID.
Yeah, and then we got a second person, and then that helped. I was able to delegate, but I was still feeling like I was touching everything. I knew what that other person was doing.
Mhm.
We had a lot of trouble getting a DBA, so we skipped over the fact, Lee doesn't work with me anymore. So we had to hire DBA, and Lee, your shoes were hard to fill. Let's put it that way. So we went through some people that didn't work out, right? It was a while to find someone we liked, and working with them now. And so to answer your question, I delegate a lot more now, and it's tricky. It's like today, I spent about an hour actually working with code. I haven't been able to do that in a while. And it's like, it's really nice to put a headphones, turn on music, and I built something, and I'm like, I remember how much I like this. But like a lot of times now,
Yeah.
it's meeting, and it's meetings, and it's meetings, and it's talking, and it's what do you want, and yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So in other words, yes, a lot more delegation. There's work to be done, but I got a great team, and I trust them to get stuff done, and that's all you can do, right?
Yeah, I mean that's really what it comes down to is delegation is great, and it, as a manager, we've discussed what makes a good manager, what makes a bad manager, and delegating as a manager is part of your job, but
Yeah.
when you over delegate to where you are doing nothing anymore of your own passion, because we're in our jobs because we like doing it. So when you take away all of that and you're just a delegator, I feel like that can, I don't know if it's really burnout or if it's just like it defocuses you to where you're no
It can-
longer doing what you like doing. So you have to keep
if
that
you're
balance.
a pilot, if you're a pilot, you want to fly a plane sometimes. If all you do is air traffic control, you're gonna miss the plane, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, but no, yeah. I guess my team's early days, and it's a lot of building something that wasn't there before, and it's okay if I don't get to do as much button smashing as I would like, because I'll get there. I'll get back to it.
Yeah.
It's working.
So I have a question. What as you think about the story that you just told about your career and how things progress, what were 2-3 things, either events that you may or may not have been in control of, or decisions that occurred, again, that you may or may not have made on your own, that kind of that guided your path, and it kind of got you to where you're at now?
Oh wow. I feel like it's like thousands of different things that like little things that like in hindsight, if I didn't if I didn't work for the company I'm at now, my path would be totally different. I
Oh,
could
yeah.
have gotten so think about this. I could have gotten what I wished for, right? I could have ended up being like a front end dev or mid-tier dev. I could have just joined a Java shop and then like been doing that. And would I be doing what I'm doing now? Like the fact that I touched so many things, the fact that my entryway was support also changed things. So now I'm working with data professionals, and they think like data professionals. And
Yeah.
but when I'm talking to the dev team, I understand what they're saying because I touched that, right?
Yeah.
I like the fact that I had this meandering path. I feel like I hope anyway, I have a much wider view of what's going on and I understand what's going on. So when we're in these situations where we have different folks with different strokes, all talking about the same thing but in different ways, at least have a better opportunity to understand all that. But yeah, so turning up the company I'm at now, for what turned out to be the wrong reason, and then if I didn't have the manager I had who said, no, secret development's really important. In fact, if you prove yourself and scale yourself up, that'd be so valuable to me. So I could do that. And I mean deciding to do that, then my path would have been totally different, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if I didn't leave the bank when I did, I was basically ironically being moved over to management actually, and at the time I didn't want that, so that's another thing. But that would have literally been just managing people. That would not have been technical at all. So yeah, I just feel like life's is a whole series of different choices, and like any one of them could have been wrong, right? There's more than one time I could have posted out from the company I'm at now, and I decided to stay, and I currently feel like that was the right choice. So, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
That's a hard question to answer because like I feel like it's about every paragraph I said in the stream was like, yeah, it's another decision that led me there, right? Choosing to go more SQL,
Yeah.
choosing to become a DBA, choosing to go to the certifications I took, um, um, Hours with Experts, 1904 as a program that I took that and I got me more knowledge about data engineering and all the different technologies that they use. Um, yeah, every exposure to new stuff I felt like helped guide me, give me a wider view.
Yeah, so I feel like the key things that you from your story that you just mentioned were the meandering path. So you were exposed to a lot of different things along the way. The manager who encouraged you to pursue SQL as a real career. And you briefly just mentioned 1904 Labs. I feel like that was probably a little more critical maybe than we could have maybe spent more time there, but that probably was a critical point for you in terms of a decision you made to maybe meander in a way toward something by exposing yourself to a number of different technologies through what 1904 Labs offered you that kind of moved you toward data engineering.
Engineering, yeah, 100%. But I got to see different things they do, and it's not like all of a sudden we're using all that technology or anything. It's just I got to see a different way of thinking, how they look at stuff. So yeah, definitely. I guess every new experience is good. I think you summarized my story. Be a good manager. If you're not a manager, try your best to work with a good manager. They really make the difference.
Yeah.
And expose yourself to as much different technology and different people as possible. It'll only make you stronger. And don't be the smartest person in the room.
If you're the
Always
smartest person in the
going to-
room, you're then in the wrong room.
Yeah,
That's what I've always been told.
find another room because you have people you can learn from, right? So
So let's see, to summarize, so you exposed yourself to touching I forgot what it went. But to everybody, everything.
HR's on the way.
Yeah,
she's working tonight, so
I thought of that too.
that's how it goes. But yeah, so that's cool. This is wrapping up our this little series we had as well, where we each discussed our rise to where we currently are, and thankfully we can all say it's a rise to where we are, not lateral by any means. yeah, so if anybody wants to see the other two, this is part 3, so they are on the YouTube.
Yep.
If we want to drop the YouTube link in, it worked.
Nice, very good, very good.
So yeah, go check that out. I know Anthony has schedules about when stuff comes out. We're currently, what are we, 2 weeks? Is it 2 weeks back?
It's right now. It's 2 weeks. So
2 weeks.
last week actually went live. Oh, now I'm confused. Oh,
That means if it's 2 weeks, that means mine is out and his will
yeah,
be
yours
out.
went out Monday. His will be out this coming Monday, and mine will be out the Monday after. It's a little bit of a little bit of a delay because there was a period of time where sometimes we'd miss one, and that allow us to
Yeah, no,
those
that's
gaps.
yeah, but definitely go check those out, as well as the Discord. Like after this series, I feel like you guys know a lot about us now. We've discussed our past, some of the things that are make us who we are and where we
really
are.
put ourselves out there.
Yeah, really put ourselves now. But we want to get to know the community more, and anybody that's been hanging out and chatting, and we know some of you, but yeah, I'd like to hear from more of you. If you want to jump in the Discord, pretty basic Discord. We just kind of share some memes and some new technologies, some websites that we find useful. I think we have a book section that we need to start adding some more into.
Yeah.
I have a book actually I need to put on there. It's one I'm currently in a book club doing, refactoring. And
Cool.
It's a really good book. I'll put that suggestion up there as well.
And I occasionally get technical questions about SQL from some folks out there, and so I think those are welcome too. Not just about SQL, but anything like I'm trying to do X
Yeah.
with Y technology, and Z problem is happening. Can someone help me? I think we're interested in those things too.
Some folks. It's definitely not Dunsei. It's definitely not Dunsei. But or as we call them, Dunsei Deliche.
Yeah. In other words, people interact with us. Like we have a Discord. We're out here,
Yeah.
put ourselves out here for a reason. I appreciate the long list of people in the chat. Love you guys. Meet us in Discord, holler at us, make fun of us, whatever. Yeah. We like to have you.
Yeah, that's and there's things that we're never saying that we know all the answers. So you might come to us with a question about SQL or programming or anything, and we might be like, I have no clue, but then it gives us that opportunity to learn something more than what we currently know. So I wanted Dunce to feel called out. It's okay.
Dunce called himself called out, so
yeah, no, Dunce is a good example of asking a question that challenges me enough that I'm like, we might want to talk to Lee about this one.
right.
But yeah, they definitely put out questions. I'm say most of us are on there pretty often as far as response times. Not terrible, so yeah, or just hang out and chat with each other. That's part of it too. But,
Sure.
Yep, for sure.
And then
Speaking of, we're gonna raid.
Yeah, I would say speaking of some technologies and things that I need to be more on board with, AWS is actually live right now, as in Amazon Web Services.
Cool.
And they are talking about what's new with the just what's new by their support team. So we're gonna go check that out. Kind of interested in seeing what they're talking about. It's only 20 minutes in, so might get some good information out of it. Or we might not, but it's always fun to watch something techie. That's why we're here. So
might be part of your meandering path.
That's right.
I have worked
like mine.
AWS. Yeah.
I had my Linux phase. I mean, we all go through it.
My teen years. But yeah. My college years. But yeah, so we're gonna raid them. And again, thanks to everybody here that's been hanging out. lurkers, everybody's you guys are awesome. Make sure you drop that follow so you know when we come back online. You can come hang out again. We try to do this every Thursday. If we're gonna miss a day, we'll usually post it on Twitter or in the Discord. Yeah. And thank you for that. There's our Twitters. Go follow those. I need to add the Ready Set Data one in as well because we did create a new Ready Set Data Twitter, and it's at RSDTV. So we need to add that in as well. But with that being said, if you guys have any outros, I'm gonna hit the raid button. Go. No, I'm not. I'm gonna find someone else. Apparently,
Oh no.
AWS only allows in-network raids.
Oh, okay. That's unfortunate.
Ooh.
That's fine.
Ooh.
You know what? Let's go raid.
That also, while he's figuring that out, could be another topic that we talk about at some point is cloud. You know, different cloud platforms, what they offer, you know, positives, concerns about those platforms, blah, blah, blah.
Questions I ask when someone mentions the cloud. I don't mean that in a trolly way.
No, yeah. There are
fill the
questions you
air.
should ask.
Yeah, fill the air while Grade's looking for something. With the raid. Like today, I was on a call and this platform that we wanted to use, and so yeah, it's all hosted in the cloud. Blah, blah, blah. I go, okay, which cloud? Okay, and then it took a second. Oh, AWS. Like, do you not get asked that? Like, is it's a good question to ask. Which cloud? Right? And because
Yeah.
people say cloud, oh, it's magical, just always work. Okay, oh, AWS. So what happens to your service when AWS is down? Right.
They
Well,
all go down, is what happens because
if you,
this-
yeah,
It's where we're
if
at.
you understand what you're getting into a little better, you can help prevent all your servers being down at the same time, though.
They actually had a good answer. And no one knows who I'm talking about, so it's not like I'm talking to anybody. But they're like, no runs, you just won't be able to change it. And I'm like, oh, really? That's a solid answer right there.
yeah.
So I see
Did find a-
basically offline we can talk about it.
That's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a solid answer. Oh, we got a raid going. Cool.
So we got a raid. We're gonna go raid Amaze. Some people know him already. He is the hype man of Twitch. He always throwing out positive vibes. Good dude. So we're gonna go raid him. He's just playing some Destiny and hanging out. So make sure you drop
Sounds
that
good.
follow over there as well. He's you'll like him. Real positive, upbeat dude.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Let's
So
go.
until next time, I'm O'Grady.
Hi,
Anthony.
Anthony. All right, and we'll catch y'all next week. Make sure you drop that follow on the Twitter so you can keep up to date with us. See y'all.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. Hopefully,